Welcome back to Factory Floor Fails. Tonight's episode, your SOPs. Simple or Rube Goldberg Simple. This is the show where we talk about real problems on real factory floors. The stuff that actually costs time, money, and sanity. Not the version that looks good in PowerPoint. Before we get on with tonight's show, we got a little SOP joke for you. If you've ever seen an SOP that starts on page 1 with Step 1, read entire SOP, and ends on page 37 with Step 37, begin operation. You already know where this episode is going. Tonight we're talking about SOPs, standard operating procedure, and more specifically, whether your SOPs are simple or Rube Goldberg simple. Let's get something out of the way. In plain English, an SOP, a standard operating procedure, is a written step-by-step set of instructions that explains how to do a task safely, correctly, and consistently. That's it. It's not a punishment. It's not a legal document. And it's not supposed to scare people into compliance. But in a lot of shops, SOPs are the very first thing to go sideways. Most SOPs fail in one of two ways. They're either too vague, so nobody trusts them, or they're too detailed and overthought, so bloated with just-in-case scenarios that nobody actually follows them. And when no one follows them, they stop being a safety tool and start being a liability. A good SOP should include the critical steps, the key safety points, the information an operator actually needs to run the operation successfully. What it does not need is every possible exception that could happen once every 3 years. That's what trainers are for. That's what supervisors are for. That's what leadership is for. SOPs define the standard. People handle the exceptions. I've seen SOPs that are so simple. They basically say, turn press on, run parts, try not to die. And sometimes, honestly, those shops run better than the ones with a 3-inch binder. Then the other extreme, I've seen SOPs that look like a Rube Goldberg machine. 30 steps, all in perfect order, to do something that should take 30 seconds. By the time you finish reading it, the shift is half over, the machine is still idle, and the production is already behind. Now, every shop is different. Different risks, different customers, different products. But if your SOPs require operators to stand in front of a stop machine reading something that feels like War and Peace, you are losing money. Not hypothetically, not eventually, right now. Let me be crystal clear about one thing. Safety is always number one. That never changes. That does not get negotiated. That does not get streamlined out. But here's what people miss. Safety and simplicity are not opposites. In fact, it's simpler and clearer an SOP is, the safer it usually becomes, because people actually follow it. Now let's talk about how to properly build an SOP. This is where most shops get it wrong. They either overthink it from the start, or they try to perfect it before it's ever used. Here's the right way. You start with the basics, step by step, how to safely and productively perform the operation. Not how it should work in theory, how it actually works on the floor. What do you touch first? What do you check? What do you verify before you start? The first draft is not about perfection, it's about clarity. Once you have the basic SOP written, you don't stop there. You go back and fine tune it. You simplify the language. You remove duplicate steps. You combine things that don't need to be separate, all while keeping safety exactly where it belongs. This is where most people mess up. They tried to do this part first. You can't simplify something that hasn't been clearly defined yet. Next step is you think, Next step, this is critical. You run it by your trainers, not management, not corporate, the people who actually train others. You ask one simple question: does this flow? Can they follow it naturally? Does the order make sense? Are there spots where people are going to hesitate or get confused? This almost always takes more than one pass. That's normal. That's a good sign. Once you think the SOP is close, here's where it gets interesting. You test it. First, use the old method. Time yourself doing the operation for the entire shift or day. No cheating, no shortcuts. Then use the new SOP. Same operations, same conditions, and you compare. Most of the time, even after that, you'll find more changes need to be made. That's not failure, that's improvement. Once you finalize the SOP, you don't celebrate and stop. You move to the next one. And this part matters a lot. You don't start with the easiest SOP. You start with the operation that causes the most downtime, the most scrap, the most headaches. Fix the biggest problems first. That's where the money is. All right, this is a good place to pause. If you ever read an SOP and thought, there's no way this was written by someone who does this job, go ahead and hit that subscribe. Then go ahead and hit that like button. And just so you don't miss any of the future stuff I put out, tap that notification bell. Because this channel is for people who live in reality, not fantasy manufacturing. All right, back to it. Let me give you a real world example of what it looks like when it works. One shop I worked at ran 2-shot injection molds. If you've ever been around them, you know they're complex, they're expensive, and when they're down, everybody notices. Preventive maintenance on these molds was treated like a 3-day event. 72 hours was normal. 96 hours was shocking, or wasn't shocking. Even 120 hours was still considered acceptable. And that's just how it was. We stopped and asked why. Not emotionally, not defensively, just why. We broke the process down, built a clear checklist, assigned realistic timeframes to each task. Tear down, inspection, sonic cleaning, replace the O-rings, check the heaters, re-grease, inspect critical surfaces. We also applied a fix in the machine mindset. If something could be corrected at the source, we fixed it there, not downstream. We worked with our vendors to establish next day turnaround as a standard. not a favor. And the result, a 3 to 5 day process became a 1 8-hour shift process. The mole's back on the floor in less than 24 hours. Here's the part people remember. That one improvement saved the company $500,000 in 1 year, just in downtime. But it didn't stop there. Overall production increased 37%. Same machines, same people, same plant, better SOPs, better flow, better results. That's why SOPs matter. Not for audits, not for binders, not for corporate checkboxes. They matter because they protect people and unlock performance that was already there. So, if you're a plant manager or supervisor or an operations leader watching this, or know someone that is in that field, if your SOPs are too simple, you get chaos. If they're too complicated, you get paralysis. The goal is clarity. If you want to help building SOPs that actually work, that keep safety first while reducing downtime and driving real gains like the ones I talked about, reach out. That's what I do. This has been Factory Floor Fails. Keep your SOPs clear. Keep your people safe. And remember, mistakes should be lessons, not repeats. Until next time.